Hey Joya. So I figured I would go out of the box instead of putting stuff in comments and show you exactly what I'm talking about as far as organizing your palette here. But it's a good palette. Your colors are great. It's just again the alignment and organization of it, and it sounds really nitpicky. I know it does, and I'm absolutely not even trying to do that. It's just when you're an outsider and you look in at it, you could have this gorgeous, award-winning composition over here, of the assignment. But then when we look at your palette, and you have a gap like you do here, and then you have a gap like that, a gap like this, and then all of a sudden it gets narrow here. A client, anybody's going to look at that and just their eyes are going to be drawn to that, and they're not going to be focused on your composition. And this can be really easily remedied from the beginning. Like maybe doing it later on after the fact, it's kind of a pain, but doing it right in the beginning the right way is going to speed up your time, and you'll be surprised at how this like eases your burden of going from different tints and shades and this and that. So I'm just going to show you real quick what I'm talking about. I'm going to start off with your square, and what I've noticed here is at first I was like, what, she is using the blend tool, but then I see the gaps in between the squares, and I'm wondering, I'm like, well, if she used the blend tool, these would all be equidistant apart, so, that's why we're going to start at the beginning. So let's act like I'm not even going to copy your square. I'm going to just take the color, and since I'm using your colors, I'm going to use the hexadecimal color so I can, stay on point with the colors you have. So you're using a 31190E here. Okay, so when I go over here, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, and I'm going to hold down shift to make a perfect square, and boom, perfect square. Alright, so now I'm going to take the direct selection tool, or the selection tool here. I'm going to click into it again, Control C, and I'm going to Control V it. So now I have a perfect copy of that square in dimension and color. And I don't know why I do that every time, but ignore that. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to click inside the square on the path here, and I'm going to drag it, and these green lines are your best friends. They're called the smart guides here. Let's see. Using the smart guides, we can connect X to X here. You see center to center there? It shows that we are perfectly aligned by the center, which is going to keep these perfectly level, which it seems like horizontally you don't have that issue. It's just the column spacing. So, boom, there we go. Perfect, equidistant apart, and vertically and horizontally aligned. So now I want to change this square to your last fill color in this blend. So let's see what color you used. It's A35 324. So I'm going to click back here, double click the fill. A35 324. Boom. Okay, so now I have your color arrangement here. I'm going to take the selection tool again. You could even use the direct selection tool to do this and just draw a rectangle around it and lasso them both. So now that we have them both selected, we can go up to Object, Blend. First, check your blend options always. Since we want to put two squares in between there, we want to make sure our specified steps is at 2. If you wanted to put 4 squares in between it, you would put a 4. But you always have to account for it. So let's say the palette required for 7. You have a beginning and an end, so you would only need 5 to fill in the gap. That number is filling in the gap from the first to last shape. It's just a really fun tool to use too for the size. Let's say this square was like 5 times bigger, and I wanted to take this little square and blend it into that bigger square by color and size. You'd be amazed at the cool stuff you can do with this thing. So anyway, we're putting 2 steps in between. I might have this spaced out a little far, but for just demonstrating, it's perfectly fine. So, okay, we're good there. You can hit Control-Alt-B to make the blend, or you can just go to Blend, Make. Boom. There we go. Perfect palette there. So, I'm going to take this nice perfect spacing. See how on the columns, they're all equidistant from each other? Is that the right word I'm using? I don't know. I'm not that professional. But anyway, the columns look perfectly fine. So it's like, all right, we got really good spacing here. There's a couple of different ways you could approach this. I recommend, and this is how I've been doing it, and the fastest way I can see to do it. It's like, okay, I'm going to Control C the whole blend now. Click in the white space again. Control V. Now I have an exact copy of that blend. You know, like there's no bothering to do another blend and make sure the squares are perfectly aligned the way they are. No, I'm going to take this thing, and you see how my center line is intersecting there? That works. You know what I mean? It's showing me that it's in the center. So now I want to come up with an idea of how far do I want to space these apart. Well, I think to make a perfect looking grid, there we go. See how the space here is equal to the space here? And you have that going on right here. See how nice your orange ones look here? It's beautiful. You know, the lines are all good, but then you get over to here and it's like, oh, that's where it gets off. So anyway, so now I have two blends, but they're exactly the same color. How do I change that? It's easy. Just click the path line in the middle for the whole blend. Go into Edit, Edit Colors, Recolor Artwork. And you're going to see here, this is the beginning color of your blend, and this was the final color. So for somebody like me that's, you know, working on your work, I mean, if you were doing this, you know, from scratch and you didn't know what colors you were going to use, you would go in here and you can double click the new color, and boom, here's you can adjust your shades, you can do whatever you want to do in here, your tints, tones, all that good stuff. But for me, since I'm trying to make an exact replica of what you're doing, I am going to go back to this color so I can find out what it is. So I click it, double click the fill, and it's a C96 628. So I'm going to go back, get this back up, C96 628. And I'm going to go back to Edit, Edit Colors, Recolor Artwork. Start my beginning color at C96 628. Boom. Okay, so now I have that nice exact light color you had there. So I'm going to say OK for now, and only because I don't have that great of a memory right now, I'm going to click on this one and get your last color, which is F79 636. F79 636. Go back into here, and now I'm going to double click the last one, F79 636. Boom. So now I kept that nice perfect alignment I had of the first blend, and all I did was change the colors using Edit, Recolor, you know, the artwork and whatnot. But by doing that and keeping the original blend and just copying it and changing the colors, we can keep the same distance, take the guesswork out of it, and I mean, it's literally just dragging the whole blend and making sure that this space here is identical to the space you've been going with. But you know, you could adjust that later on even if it wasn't. But if you continue going this way, you can do this whole entire thing exactly the same way, just changing the beginning color of your blend and changing the last color. I mean, it's a very simple thing, and it has surprising results. When you have a perfect looking palette like that, it just makes the whole assignment punch and look that much better. And I feel so awesome because I just made this video tutorial thing. And if it doesn't make any sense to you, let me know and I'll record like 18,000 of them. So thank you, and I hope that made sense to you, and if it didn't, let me know, and like I said, we'll get it done. We'll get you there. So but you're getting there. It's a big learning curve, so cool. Let me know.